Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. So I thought I'd talk about this breathing anxiety again. I know I did a few podcasts, or Pursuit of Truth, whatever you want to call this, ago, but I haven't actually been able to get rid of it. It keeps coming and going. I lose it for like a few days and then think about it, and then it comes back. And even to do the, think about doing this, it sort of started to flare up a little bit, but I'm trying not to think about it too much so it doesn't come back. And the reason I was going to talk about it is because I watched two programs recently. There was a Netflix one, I can't remember what it's called now. It's to do with Lewis Capaldi, I'm Okay Now, or something like that. And then recently, Dani Dyer with an I, the daughter of Dani Dyer with a Y, the actor from EastEnders and films. His daughter did a Channel 4 thing about anxiety. Is it anxiety, I think it was called. And so they mentioned two things that that resonated with me. So I thought I would talk about it because I just thought these things were just me. I just thought I was the crazy one, and lo and behold, these celebrities are talking about these things. So in Lewis Capaldi's one, he talked about that he was diagnosed late in life with Tourette's. Which I only knew about from Big Brother, from, was it Pete or Phil, or whatever his name was, that guy who had Tourette's. But he doesn't swear, but he was doing a lot of shaking, which I never noticed in his performances. But then I guess he was masking, he was trying to stay still as much as possible. And then how he was describing, at night, catastrophizing and having breathing problems and panic attacks, and then I was realizing, well, this is the same thing that happened to me, at night time. This recent one, I can't remember, a long time ago, the one before that I mentioned on the Pursuit of Truth, where I had it for a week, concentrating on breathing. I don't remember that having the same kind of fear thing to it. That was more like I was doing it and just keeping it to myself, and the pressure was to keep it to myself and not tell anyone about it. And this time it just keeps coming and going. And so yeah, for him to mention that he's had these same kind of breathing issues made me think, well, it's not just me that has these things. And Dani Dyer was mentioning as well that she gets like tingling. Is it tingling in her fingers? Or I can't remember what it was. And she has breathing issues when she has panic, anxiety attacks. And I know that I have these things where, I'll have tingling in the lip. Sometimes I'll have I feel hot, or a headache, or a stomach. My stomach will feel tight, not my lungs, but my stomach will start to feel tight. It's funny how something like stress or anxiety can have physical aspects to it. It makes no sense. It's just my mind doing this to me. How is it powerful enough to make me feel things or do things to my body that make me feel things? It is very weird. And I know when I have these, I don't know if this anxiety thing is connected to autism or whether it's been brought on by the COVID thing, pressure or stress, or I don't know what it really is, but it's just, it won't go away. And it's so annoying because unlike a normal panic attack when someone, they can't breathe and they, get faint, sometimes it will collapse. And, they just have to do the breathing exercise and then it's gone. With me, it's prolonged. It just is all the time. And so I can't really enjoy anything, I'm just thinking about this thing and worrying about it. And, is it, this the moment? Have I got that's when I woke up that night, unable to breathe. And I just thought, is this the moment? I've got something wrong with me. I had to come down, take, fresh air. And I don't know, it's so horrible, and not being able to get rid of it. And it's just your mind doing it. I can't stop my mind thinking about breathing and whether I'm breathing right. I'll look at other people. I remember when I first had it that long time ago, I used to watch TV and watch people to see them breathing because you don't really notice it. and I was watching them to see them breathing it. This time I was counting my son's breaths in between exhale and inhale to see, like, am I breathing in the same rate? But it's funny how these celebrities are talking about these things. I mean, 10 years ago, anyone mentioned this, they'd be, you know, labelled as crazy. Well, it may still be labelled as crazy. I don't know. It does seem a bit crazy, but that's the problem. That's why, like Dani Dyer was mentioning, she doesn't want to go to the GP because of the stigma of mental health and these kinds of things. And that's why I haven't gone, because, well, I don't know whether they believe me, for a start. You know, they probably just think I'm a hypochondriac or something. And then once you've said that, then that'll be on your file, and then they won't believe anything that you come with. They'll think, oh, well, that's just anxiety, when it may be a real thing. And once you get labelled with that, that's it. Because people, even in the medical profession, they see these things as abnormal. I mean, I guess they are technically abnormal, but I don't know why I have this. I do have a very, what's the word? I don't know if it is linked to autism or Asperger's, anxiety and these breathing things. But I do have like is it compulsive? Not compulsive, like when you want to do things repetitively, you know. So that's why my mind keeps thinking about it. I can't stop my mind, even though I try and go away or listen to music or do something that kind of distract me. It'll still end up, you know, even like I sleep and then I wake up in the morning and then I'll think about it, and then I'll suddenly start watching my breathing or feeling that, oh my God, it's happening again. Even like I think you can hear my breathing is a bit, I can feel I'm getting slightly, not lightheaded, but I can hear my breathing and like that. And I'm thinking about it, that's why I'm coughing. And sometimes I'll do that sniff, I don't know why, or a cough to try and regulate it, because I do wonder whether it is connected to, you know, I do have my nose has always been blocked one side and then the other, and it clears, and especially at night that happens. I've never been diagnosed with asthma. I know when I had that cough thing for a year, they thought, oh, I had, you know, hidden asthma for the last 40 plus years, which I've never had. But now obviously I'm thinking about, why is this what asthma is? I don't have like a shortness of breath or anything. It's just, it's like a weird sensation. I can't really explain it. It's like my nose will get dry and I'll get like tingly fingers. Then I'll start to sort of think, oh, is my nose blocked? And I'll start to check, you know, either way, like I did on that podcast. And I don't know, it just makes me worry that this time, you know, I've had it like 3 or 4 times, and I seem to be finding it difficult to get rid of it. I can't distract myself long enough because I keep thinking about it, and I can't stop myself thinking about it because something will remind me. Like the other day, there was some program where this person went like that, and they were talking about, I don't know, was it I'm a Celebrity, about breathing underwater or something, and then that triggered me, and then I started having my breathing thing, and I had to try and distract myself and, you know, check my heartbeat and go check my oxygen level. And I mean, I know I'm laughing about it, but it's taxing, because it stops you from enjoying everything, because you're constantly thinking about it all the time, and it's like driving you crazy. I don't want to think about it. And the thing is, like, there is no real solution to this other than my brain. You know, this is like, I have this thing where I will concentrate on something and then after like a while it'll go away. That's why I'm surprised that this hasn't. Like, you know, when someone leaves at work, I'll think about it for like 2 or 3 days and feel that feeling of loss, and then I'll forget about it and it'll go. I have that kind of thing. You know, if I see something or something happens, it stays with me like for a longer than normal person, I assume, period. And I'll be thinking about it a lot. It seems to be connected to death, definitely. And I don't know why it's connected to death. I mean, obviously my cat, when he was 16, 17, had to be put down. I know that was, I thought about that a lot. And there was a child at school, a boy who was on his bike, and someone opened their car door and he swerved and he went under this 8-wheeled I can't say lorry, articulated lorry. I know that affected me, but I don't really know why, because like the family is not really that, obviously grandparents passed away, but I was never allowed to go to the funerals or anything, so I don't know really why I worry so much and concentrate on death so much. If you read my poems, you'll see there's a lot of it in there, death and loss. I mean, loss, I attribute that to the school friends, especially like John Sylvester. I called him Sylvester last time, his name was John Sylvester, who went away, and that's where I think the loss comes from. But I don't know why I concentrate on these things so much. I don't know if that's connected to autism, or I think if I'm not autistic or have Asperger's, I'm definitely neurodivergent. I can tell from my own way of thinking that I'm not neurotypical, whether it's a medical condition or it's something that is through life, made me that way. But yeah, I thought I'd talk about it because these celebrities were talking about it, and it resonated with me when they were mentioning these things. So I thought, well, that was just me. I didn't realize that other people had these crazy breathing things where they can't tell anyone, and they're just going through this breathing thing where they're concentrating on breathing, and they're like some of them hyperventilating, and I don't know. I was hoping also by talking about it would, because that's the thing, usually like when I have these kinds of things where I can't get it out of my head, that's when I'll write a poem, and it's sort of like it's cathartic, and it gets rid of it. A bit like when I feel ill, you go to the GP, and once you go to the GP, you suddenly feel better. Even though, that's the problem with this thing. I was saying, I went off track, isn't it? I was saying that the problem is with this is that there's not only I can cure it by stop thinking about it, because if I go to the GP, all they're going to do is give me medication, and I don't want to take medication all my life, and I don't think medication is really going to stop me thinking about breathing. Well, not unless it makes me unconscious, and I sleep for a few days, and then because unless it can reduce my stress, but I guess that would make well, maybe not quite like that, but it will make me more sort of chilled out. But once I remember I did have antidepressant tablets long time ago for depression, which I had, but that made me worse, and I think that was the time when I tried to take my life but luckily it was with calms tablets, so it didn't do anything to me. But I don't even remember now these days. I can't remember, did I actually do it or not? Seems a stupid thing, would I have done that? But I do remember taking a handful of them, but luckily, because they're calm, they didn't do anything. They didn't even make me sleepy. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's made me a bit depressed thinking about that, isn't it? I don't know, should I have told you that? But that's the truth. I mean, there's no point in hiding the truth. It was a silly thing I did, which I regretted, and afterwards, thought about how lucky I was that it didn't do anything to me. And I don't even really remember whether I actually really did do it or not, or whether I was just thinking about it, or whether I just took a few tablets because I was too chicken to actually do it. But yeah, it was a silly thing, because then I wouldn't have had all this wonderful life that I've had. That's the problem with when you're suicidal or depressive, that you're not thinking straight, and it's just about getting through it. And then you see, like, I mean, if it had been successful, if I did do it and it was successful, and then I wouldn't have had my beautiful wife, Anarchy, and I wouldn't have had my beautiful children, Michelle, Alina and Aidan. Oh, it's actually making me quite sad now, thinking about if I didn't have them, because they're so beautiful and they make my life, and my life would be nothing without them. Anyway, I think that's the time to end it. Please comment, like, and share this, and give me your views. If you are suffering from the same thing, maybe together we can, talk about it and relieve it by talking to each other. That would be nice. I would love someone to actually comment and share this, and well, I'd love to have friends really, but let's not go into that. That make me too depressive on it. I'm starting to feel the tightness that comes here, just on the top of the stomach. I get it, and sometimes these under your ribs. You know, you got these muscle things. I don't know what it is, but they're under the ribs. They get tense. It's funny. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's it for now. Take care. Take it easy. God bless and peace.